Okay, so I want to finish wrapping up about identity, the construction of the concept of the self. When we left off, I was giving you a study showing that as we become teenagers, it's not our caregivers we're spending a lot of time with, it's actually our friends and classmates. So as we get older, we are reflecting the appraisals of our friends and colleagues of our same age. And one of the things we do is we compare ourselves to them. So let's say that you made a 60 on test number 1. And you talk to 3 other people and they all made under 30. How are you going to think about yourself? Well, probably think you did pretty well compared to others. But what if the 3 other people you talked to made 95s? And you're going to think differently about yourself. So as we get older, not only do we reflect the appraisals of the people around us, we also compare ourselves to them. It's almost a way of coming down from the clouds. Grandma can tell you you're the best in the world, but when you compare yourself, oh, maybe I'm not the best at this or that. That's social comparison. Now, because we tend to internalize the ideas of who we are from the people we're around, one thing we need to be careful of is creating self-fulfilling prophecies, taking labels from other people and internalizing those ideas. And when this happens, we call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. So far, we've focused on identity in relationship to particular others in our lives. We've talked about reflecting the appraisals of who we are based upon the communication offered around us. We have people telling us directly who we are. We'll internalize these ideas. Our caregivers give us an identity script, our ideas of how we should live our life. And then third, we all tend to perceive relationships based upon the first relationship we had before the age of 4. It gives us an attachment style. As we get older, it's less our families that influence us, it's more of the friends we choose to associate with and our colleagues in classes, classmates. But George Herbert Mead argued it's not only the particular others that construct our identity, but it's also the generalized other. And in this case, generalized other is basically your culture, the co-cultures you identify with, or social groups, as our book calls them. We also reflect the appraisals of our society and elements that relate to gender, our ethnic background, our religious beliefs, our social class. To conclude about identity, you know, we can't change what has happened in the past, but we can definitely change the present and the future. Let's say there's things you want to change about yourself. This is how you do it. Number 1, you want to think about who are you spending time with. We know we reflect the appraisals of the people around us. So the first thing we want to do is think about who are we spending time with. And what we want to find are people that are identified as uppers in our lives. These are people when we're trying to do things, communicate positively about what we're attempting to do. And what we want to avoid or minimize are downers in our life. People who belittle things that we're trying to do. And the extreme of a downer would be a vulture. People who make fun of you when you're trying to do things. So the first step, if we want to make a change in our lives, we want to surround ourselves with people who communicate positively about us and what we're trying to do. And we need to eliminate or at least minimize, if it's a family member, people who talk in terms of being downers or vultures in our lives. Second, though, it's not only who you're hanging out with. I mean, simply put, if your friends are abusing drugs, the odds are you are also going to be abusing drugs. We reflect the appraisals of the people we're around. Second, though, you've got to change how you talk to yourself. I've referred to this in the past as intra-communication. It's also called intrapersonal communication. Every one of us, we talk to ourselves. So you also need to do what's sometimes called cognitive modification. Whenever you say something negative about yourself or something you're trying to do, you've got to reframe it. you've got to change it to a positive. No, that's the past. This is what I'm doing. This is what I am. And when you change it, now it sounds silly to think about it on the short term. Oh, it works. If you consistently change how you talk to yourselves, you're going to create a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're going to recreate that person that you want to be. So not only do we think about externally the people we're spending time with, you've got to change how you talk to yourself. And then finally, the third part of it, you've got to set a goal. And you've got to realize that that goal is not going to be achieved by tomorrow or next week. But it can be achieved. But you've got to set, here's what I'm trying to do, and you've got to set that goal of what you're trying to accomplish. That's how we create what I sometimes call the transformation of the self. Think of it in three parts. Externally, who are you hanging out with? Change it if they're negative. Internally, you got to change how you talk to yourself. And third, you got to set a goal if you're going to try to achieve something. I'm a firm believer you can't change the past, but 100% you can change the present and you can change the future. And that's a quick overview about communication and identity.